What's up, witches? My name is Taylor, and I'm the Tempest Witch, and today we're talking about how to use runes to make sigils. So my friend Kat is a tattoo artist. She's phenomenal. And somebody came in the other day looking for a bunch of sigils made out of runes, but the gentleman wasn't very well versed in the runes. I'm like, why are you getting them tattooed? Whatever. This man requested sigils that were for love, for death, and for things with meaning, which is very vague. Also, which Chris pointed this out and I laughed a lot at it. Why you would tattoo the death runes or things to symbolize death on your body seems really dumb. That's maybe just me if you want it to be a representation, but it doesn't match. It doesn't make sense. Not a fan, but that's what she wanted. And I was like, I can make that for you. And I figured I would show you how you can use the alphabet to make sigils. So just as a recap, if you don't know what sigils are a symbol that you use to represent something. So whether it is a symbol you make entirely or the runes individually could also be considered sigils, but they're more symbols that have direct meaning, which sigils usually correlate and conglomerate a bunch of different symbols to make one big thing that means a couple different things. So I'm gonna kind of go through, show you how I did that, and hopefully that makes sense. So let's get into it. So you've got all of these. These are the symbols I ended up making, but to get to this is too far. We're going back to the chaos. What I start off with is just, this is what I'm going for. Love, death, meaning. So I go through and I think about what different individual runes represent. Real quick, single word of what each thing represents. So like, Wanjo is joy, Gebo is gift, Nathis is needs. And then from there you have your base of what you want to work with. From there, you can kind of start scribbling, figuring out how things would work together. This is why you don't do final drafts first. You dick around and you see what works. Because some things are gonna look messy and chaotic and not workable, usable, tattooable. So, start off making a category. Obviously, I'm doing 3 different things here. I was like, what do you mean by meaning? Love, death, and meaning. All right, life. That's what I went and interpreted as. That's what we're working with. But for love, I was like, cool. Different runes that kind of fit under the idea of love. So you need trust in love, you need prosperity to help your love come into fruition, its potential, all of that good stuff. Death isn't just death, even though it has an actual rune for it. But, you know, it's judgment, it's sacrifice in exchange of energy, it's inevitability. So you give yourself some things to work with. Same thing with life, you have endurance, it's a journey, fate, family, existence, all of that. So once you have that, you can start messing around and figuring out how things play into themselves. And this is what's really important. Sometimes it's not gonna work. Like I tried to get this one to work, it was just not happening. This was for death. I'm trying to figure out, you know, how do you put it together? How does it make sense? Sometimes you get one that you're like, this is really cool. Sometimes it just looks really messy. Once you kind of dick around for a little bit, you can start making your final drafts. These you want to do with a steady hand, not necessarily meticulous about all of your line work, but make it not look messy. For example, when I was doing my death runes, I spelled out the word death in runes and then worked them into each other. But when I added the E, because Ehwaz is similar but just different enough from the other runes in that sigil, it ended up looking really messy and just not workable. So it's better to keep it simpler than more chaotic. Because if you're trying to transfer your drawing onto something, whether that's in Sharpie or wood burning it or tattooing it, whatever medium you're using, less lines is easier and it will make it look less busy. As I was going through, I picked runes from those categories and then worked them together. In the first love sigil, you have Perthro. And you have Nathis. and you have Wonjo. And together, they make a sigil. Same thing, you have Nothies, you have Wonjo, and you have Yera. Need, prosperity, joy, potential, need, joy. And every single rune will look different based on which different runes you're using, and it'll take some practice. This is definitely not a first go is good enough. This is years and years, you will figure it out. Now, let's talk about this one, because this one's different. You can use different runes that represent what you're doing, or you can use runes to spell out what you're doing. So in that instance, you can have words like Valhalla or any of the gods if you don't have a rune specifically for the gods, like Tyr is Tiwaz, Odin is Ansus, Freyr is Fehu. If they don't have a rune for themselves, Njord you just spell out, or Valhalla you can spell out, love, health, peace, and then from those, now here's one thing I'll explain quick. Here's luck. Luck only has 3 runes because the C and the K are the same letter. It's both Kenaz. You do not write a rune 2 times or 3 times, depending on how many times it's in a word. You just put it once. So from these letters, you can take them together, kind of figure them out, and then once you move them together, you can make a sigil out of them. How cool is that? Alright guys, I hope you found that informative, and I hope that you can go forth and just mess around with it. Anyway, go have fun with the runes, make your own sigils, and have a great day. Skull, my friends.